Well, would you look at the time? It's Valentine's Day, or as I like to call it, Goonentine's Day. Let's get to business.
Akira!
Where am I? The hell is this? What? She's a flamingo?
You.
What?
Yeah, you. What are you doing? Put that shit down.
Okay.
You need to watch this video right now before it's too late. So pay attention. Cyberpunk is one of my favorite media genres, and if you know me, or have taken a look through my channel at all, I think you'd be able to tell. Hours upon hours of Cyberpunk 2077 gameplay, a full playthrough of Katana Zero, my love of Megalobox, all of these things came due to the sheer joy I feel when I see a dystopian society full of futuristic tech and class disparity. Ironically enough though, I didn't really enjoy my first experience with the genre, which was, even more ironically, arguably one of the most defining works of cyberpunk the world has ever seen. The beautiful story of a man and his high-speed, uncontrollable red vehicle. No, not that. I'm talking about Akira, or Akira. I don't know how to pronounce it, and I might switch between both. Anyways, I can't really remember much from my first watch through of Akira. I remember it was late as fuck, and I probably had school the next day, and I finished the movie thinking, what the fuck did I just watch? Everything felt so vague, like the real story was hidden behind a bunch of bizarre events and weird baby creatures. But I fucked with the aesthetic, and I figured that's all that matters, so I left it there. Until about a month and a half ago, when I realized I hadn't watched enough anime to make my top 5 anime of the year video and decided to watch Heavenly Delusion, which, as I say in the aforementioned video, reminded me a lot of Akira for whatever reason. So, Akira's on the mind, but not enough to make me immediately go watch it. It was more so on the back burner, like hey, maybe if I get some spare time, I'll watch it again. But then, I realized I've finally become enough of a lonely loser to watch Blade Runner, and watch I did. Starting with the original, which left me feeling the exact same way Akira did, just fucking confused. Man, maybe I'm just dumb as fuck and have no media literacy, I think to myself after watching a weird robot howl at Harrison Ford. But once again, the aesthetic and the cinematography that captured it left me in awe. Watching Blade Runner made me think of Akira again, and so I decided to give it another watch. And it wasn't long into the movie before I realized I was certainly on crack the first time I watched it. I didn't remember anything. Barring the opening scene and some of the scenes in the stadium, I felt like I was watching a whole new movie for the first time. I could see everything this time around. The colors were more vibrant, the backgrounds were more dynamic, the character acting was more lively, the soundtrack was still weird as fuck, the story actually made some sort of sense, and I even figured out a deeper meaning to everything that was going on. A secret message, if you will. This movie was chocked full of just about everything an anime can do well. Far too much to summarize it all in one go. So I'm gonna heed the advice of some random politician who started talking to me in the street 7 years ago and break it down into components.
Good person. You can do this. No, you can't, you're a piece of shit. What was that?
Oh, the backgrounds. It was the first thing I noticed about this movie. The backgrounds are insanely lively. It truly felt like we were looking into a real world. Like, look at this. Just a standard pan-out shot, right? Wrong. You can see the suicide bomber getting the shit beaten out of him. Me and my friend were watching, we were like, yo... That guy's getting his ass beat still in the fucking corner. What the hell? Boom. Some classic shots set in the scene. Hey, is that girl getting molested? It's been like 10 seconds and we already have a perfect understanding of what this place is. And a good idea of what's up with Neo Tokyo on a whole. Boom. Here, another example. In this restaurant, you see the people behind the windows scrambling to avoid the bike. The waiter notices them, sees the bike, and scrambles too. This scene, people just looking at this injured guy as he stumbles past them. This kid spazzing because he just saw some dog get blasted. And all these people looking on in shock and then at each other. And this is all just in the first 10 minutes. Every scene of this movie is just brimming with life. And the liveliness of these scenes juxtapose the setting of a soulless futuristic dystopia so wonderfully and just adds to the clearly meticulously thought out dynamics of the film. For instance, the police unloading on this already dying man and these guards beating the shit out of this suicide bomber both bring to life the brutality instilled within Neo Tokyo society. Speaking of bringing things to life though, let's move on to the character acting.
For years upon years, I was watching transgender porn, femboy porn, all that stuff. I used to go on Grindr all the time.
When I first watched Akira, I could tell the animation was good. In fact, it was enamoring, but I didn't know why. Usually I was great at seeing what made the animation good. Big cubes flying everywhere, high frame rates, flashy movements, clear pictures, all staples of what I believe to be good animation. And don't get me wrong, that is good animation. But Akira didn't have giant cubes exploding out of the ground or flashy special moves. Yet I was still captivated by every scene. Why? Well, the answer is in the character acting. It's subtle and not as in your face as other great animation, but Akira's character acting is truly one of a kind. Every single movement feels natural and real, like they just put a giant filter over a documentary or something. Anger, sadness, joy, disgust, fear, panic, laughter, all of these are conveyed so perfectly through the characters' movements and faces that you don't even need dialogue to understand what they're feeling. All of them are so lively, even the weird little freaks that can barely move, and the stoic baby general. This isn't even just true for the main characters and the side characters. Every single body in this film that isn't dead is filled with what feels like true humanity. Like I said in the background segment, everyone reacts to their environment, and they do so in such a realistic way that you can't help but be sucked in. Every moment and facial expression tells you so much about their character. Like, within the first minute of seeing Kaneda and his friend, you can easily tell what kind of people they are. Kaneda being cool, calm, and suave, and Yamagata being physical and imposing.
Okay. I need those milkers to go in my mouth. Every day I'm watching mommy and wanting milk. Every day I'm checking those jugs, big milk. I'm very excited. There's a lot. It is what it is, but I'm fucking thirsty, man. Can mommy give me her milkies?
Something I did notice my first time watching Akira was how impressive the colors were, especially in respect to the lighting. Every single scene is just so vibrant, which is exactly what you need in a cyberpunk setting. Giant holographic ads, bustling traffic, neon literally everywhere. All of these things require beautiful colors that blend together well, and Akira has exactly that. Cyberpunk is meant to be absurd in the sense that everything seems overdone. Every scene should just have 10,000 things that you look at and you're like, wow, why was that there? Just superfluous random shit everywhere. And this is especially true for all the random ass lights on everything. Random ass lights everywhere are a staple of the cyberpunk genre, which means in order for any cyberpunk movie, game, or animation to be great, it has to have good lighting. But Akira pulls it off. Just look at the scene in the helicarrier. Lights everywhere, but it doesn't look like some kind of jumbled seizure-inducing mess. It looks real, with every button, panel, and screen emanating its own light, but nevertheless being overpowered by the red glow. This scene with the scientist overlooking Tetsuo's exam is another example of great lighting and colors. All the cold colors in the lab where the exam is taking place, showing how heartless their treatment of him is, and then the move into the room with the pattern of Tetsuo's powers. Everything is red. What does red signify? Danger. What ended up being dangerous? Tetsuo's powers. This red room isn't only impressive because of the symbolism, though. The lighting in here is crazy. Every single change in a character's position is met with shadows reacting accordingly. Even if he only sneezes or blinks or he like twitches to the side a little bit, everything is accounted for. Even in this heinous ass sewer, there's a beautiful red and blue backglow. Now, is there a reason for this red and blue backglow? I don't really think so. I don't know why that it would look like that in a sewer, but it looks dope as fuck. So who cares? Superfluous lighting. Remember I said that at the start of this segment. These colors were then only enhanced by arguably the best thing about this anime, its character and bike designs.
I already made you an account on black.com.
What?
Yeah, come check out your profile.
Bordequan? Likes Molly, gas, perks, weed? What you need? Nigga, the fuck I look like to you? Push Shiesty linked up with Spider-Man?
Kaneda's character design is easily one of the most iconic in anime history. So much so that there are probably people who haven't even heard of Akira, but know the all red fit, the good for health, bad for education pill, and the red bike. Hell, I like this character design so much that I wanted to copy it. I can't even tell you how many times I considered painting a giant pill on the back of my jacket. This character design really stuck with me. So much so that despite not fully enjoying the movie, I made that iconic picture of him walking towards his bike the wallpaper on my computer and phone. It just goes so hard. Then there's Tetsuo. The red cape, the metal arm, the pure unfiltered swag coming off this man was immense. So immense, in fact, that it's still being referenced decades later in one of the biggest manga of this generation. Finally, Akira. The actual character has such a great design. He looks like the most normal Japanese boy of all time, which in this cyberpunk world filled with weirdos kinda makes him stand out. It's especially effective when you compare him to all the other superpowered characters. Kyoko, Takashi, Masaru, and even Tetsuo all look like complete freaks. But then there's this Messiah with way more power than all of them, who isn't gray, isn't wrinkly, doesn't have a fucked up hairline, and isn't a horrid mass of flesh. It just makes him feel like some sort of pure being. And that damn bowl cut, that that's where his powers contained, I think, actually. Another theory that I've come up with. Speaking of theories, let's move on to the secret one I found hidden within the deep layers of this film. I'm putting this in here because I've run out of clips, and I thought this joke I made was so funny that I sent it to 2 of my group chats. That's right, I sent it to one and no one responded, and so I swallowed my pride and sent it to another one, and still no one responded until like a few days later. It's this picture of this guy, and so I said, this fool looks like a drogger, and then I made the joke, when the Dovahkiin hits you with that dollar store shout. Anyways, enjoy the video. So, what's the secret message you're talking about, Lamone? Well, my friend, the answer has been in front of your eyes this whole time. Let me ask you this. When's Akira based? 2019. Pretty close to our current year, right? That's only 5 years ago. This wasn't unintentional, because Otomo knew that around 2019, just like how there was a new universe born in Akira, there would be a new universe born in real life, and that's the Goonerverse. Okay. Let's calm down. These are some crazy claims. So, where's the evidence, Lamone? Well, we're gonna need to call in a special man for that. Detective Lamone. Please, come onto the stage, fella. Oh my god, you fat bastard. How's it hanging, fellas? It's me, Detective Lamone. You remember me from the Call of the Night review in which I explained why Nazuna is a massive nonce, right? Well, I'm back, and this time I'm here to give you a timeline of the Goonerverse and its relation to Akira, the film. Roll my intro. We already did that, man. Do it again. Oh my god, you fat bastard. Akira starts off with a giant white burst of energy caused by the title character, Akira. Then skips to 2019, showing a sketchy guy walking down into a door with a giant white splotch on it. He enters. Owner's watching some shit on TV, yada yada, girl getting molested. We've been over this. Who cares? Let's move forward. We get introduced to a freaky-ass wrinkly gray kid with superpowers, Takashi, who later hits Tetsuo with an energy blast, awakening his powers and starting a chain of events that leads to the creation of the Goonerverse. The first of these important events occurs in the lab. You remember the one Lamone was talking about before, correct? Tetsuo was trapped in a metal contraption, being forced to listen to erotic, hands-free orgasm hypnosis. Tetsuo then escapes the hospital and goes straight to his girlfriend, the exact opposite of what a gooner is supposed to do. This represents him trying to escape the gooner lifestyle, an allegory about anti-gooner behavior, having a girlfriend who loves you. But then, the hypnosis starts taking effect in response to his anti-gooner activity, and he gets taken back to the goon chamber, where the hypnosis fully infests his mind, and he's shown convulsing in bed, sweating, or is that perhaps excess nuts? He then says that he needs water, and according to my investigation, telling the subject to drink water afterwards is a common practice in hypnosis, especially that of the erotic sort. Easily the most definitive piece of evidence is this next scene, in which a giant teddy bear appears in the room and starts leaking cum. And then a giant living car enters the room as well, and goons all over him, literally drowning him in the nut. From here on out, the hypnosis has taken full control over this man's mind. His hairline has receded, and his power has grown. Tetsuo utilizes these new powers granted to him from the gooning to grab a hold of his desires. And there are even moments where he goons so hard, the nut starts leaking out of his mouth. He then returns to the club, you know, the one I mentioned earlier with a giant white splotch on the door. Well, this time, it's shown that this club is for adults only. Now you tell me, giant white splotch on the door, adults only, right on top of it. What could that mean? Very clearly, it's gotta be some sort of sexual club, right? That giant white splotch is clearly cum. Duh. Moving forward, there's some gooner imagery, such as Akira's giant goon chamber emerging out of a white substance, Akira's canisters being covered in a white substance. Nothing crazy, just a bunch of white substances, right? Symbolism that Akira is the most powerful gooner of all. So powerful, in fact, that they had to preserve his nut. And also, during the battle, we see a military computer explode and then overflow with a white substance. And keep in mind, this computer was connected to the satellite that Tetsuo was attacking. So you tell me what happened there. He clearly ejaculated so far through the satellite that it came out of the computer. But then Tetsuo's girlfriend is back, showing him affection and love. And what is Tetsuo's response? His powers spaz out again, because gooners aren't allowed to have significant others who love them, only their hand. The truth was right in front of us this whole time. They were throwing it in our faces. Look, his arm even grows in response to the threat of her love. Remind you of anyone? It was so obvious. The girl shows she loves him, and the gooner arm responds by saying, look what I can do, look what I can do. You don't need her. But then the nut buildup becomes too much, and he turns into a giant baby. And what makes babies? Come. Akira is then reborn in a flash of white energy. Come. And everything ends with another giant white explosion. Just like the start of the movie. Only this time, it's the birth of the Goonerverse. So, detective, what does this have to do with real life, you may be asking me? There obviously was no giant white explosion in 2019, so what am I talking about? Well, sport, there may not have been a huge nuclear explosion, but there was an explosion of a different kind. Wow, that makes it sound like I gooned everywhere. I didn't, and that's not what I'm alluding to. An explosion of fame. Think to yourself, when did porn and sex all become so ingrained in internet culture? Sure, there's been free and easy access to porn all over the internet for a while now. And if you really looked, you could probably find people being very sexual, you know, titties in the thumbnail, stuff like that back in the day. But that was all decades ago. It seemed that there was a very recent boom. Years and years of free porn in the palm of our hands. Why has it come to a head now? The answer lies within the year 2019, the same year Akira was based, when one woman changed the landscape of the internet forever. That woman's name? Belle Delphine. What the hell was that voice? Throughout 2019, Belle Delphine gained millions of followers, selling her bathwater, making dumbass softcore porn meme videos, so on and so forth. You know, classic. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. She was everywhere, and her burst in popularity created a new wave of content creators. Porn stars appealing to the youth through social media. Now, porn stars making YouTube videos and stuff, that wasn't unheard of. People like Celestia Vega, Zoe Berger, these people existed. Guys, I get 1 million subscribers, I'll drop a sex tape on my Patreon, or just on the hub. What? What the hell was that? These people never even came close to the level of not only Belle Delphine, but the post-Belle Delphine e-girls. Now, this wasn't just Belle Delphine's doing, obviously. She's only one person. She wouldn't be able to do that much to the internet, right? No. But one thing did have a play in hand. TikTok, a kids app with no real guidelines in place to prevent porn stars from soliciting their OnlyFans to kids, and an insanely intuitive algorithm pushing these porn stars onto everyone's For You page. TikTok and Belle Delphine exploding in popularity pretty much simultaneously was the advent of this hypersexual, porn-obsessed era. And both things happened in 2019. So, coincidence? Obviously not. You'd be stupid to think so. Well, fellas, it seems that the case is closed. Akira, based in 2019, showed two gooners, Akira and Tetsuo, combining to create the Goonerverse. And in real life, 2019, a gooner, Belle Delphine, combined with a gooner-enabling app to create the Goonerverse in real life. And that is what Akira is really all about. Tetsuo is Belle Delphine, and TikTok is Akira. There we have it, folks. Definitive proof that Akira had a secret meaning all along and was actually a correct premonition of what was to come. The only question now is, how do we get out? Thanks, detective, and thanks to you for watching. Roll the outro. No, don't roll the fucking outro. Oh, okay, stop. And get that freak out of here. Anyways, guys, there we go. Wasn't that a ride, eh? I started this video off purely with the intention of oddly doing that Goonerverse stuff, but I realized, wow, Akira's really good, and anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Whole family just heard me yelling about the Goonerverse in the basement. This is a low, I think this is a low, this is a low in my life. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I certainly did, and I will see y'all in the next one. Deuces.